The meta has seen a big shift in the past few patches, so it's about time we update our list on the best champions to one-trick for solo queue. As always, the two main pieces of criteria we use to conduct this list are as follows. Number 1 is that each champion needs to hold a ban rate below 10%. Even though someone like Kha'Zix is insanely strong in meta, his ban rate is over 50%, so choosing him as your one-trick right now just isn't fathomable. Number 2 is that each champion needs to be strong in meta. And just before we get into the video, if you want to improve fast and get the rank you've always wanted, then go to SkillCapped.com. Stop wasting your time grinding thousands of games only to see no progress. With SkillCapped, you'll uncover the secrets to climbing ranks fast that only take a few minutes to learn and can be immediately applied in your next game. The best part is it's completely risk-free to try, as you're kept safe with our rank up insurance. If you don't significantly improve while actively using SkillCapped, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Get the rank you've always wanted by clicking the link in the description below. Alright, now let's start off by running down our top lane one-trick selections. This champion should be in every top laner's champion pool for the lower ranks and is a great option to one-trick, being Garen. Ban rate is just 3%, even in silver and gold elo, so he's extremely accessible. Garen has seen a really big boost in power over the past few patches, gaining an extra 20 AD for free on his 2-item completion. Stridebreaker had its AD increased by 10, and Hullbreaker saw the exact same treatment, which has propelled Garen back into a phenomenal spot. Not a ton of low elo Garen players have actually caught on to the build though yet, so definitely give it a go if you haven't already. The 3-item core for most games consists of Stride into Hullbreaker 2nd and Deadman's Plate 3rd. Once you complete Stride and Hullbreaker, if you're ahead of the curve, there's nobody that is going to beat you in a 1v1 when you have ultimate. Playing for more of a split push style with this build is really great, and you can run Phase Rush and runes to help you out with that. If the enemy team tries to collapse on you, pop W to negate their damage, proc Phase Rush, and dip away with the movement speed boost. You can also look to run Demolish and runes to take down those towers extra fast when you're splitting. If you'd prefer to play a top lane champ with a little more mobility and dive power, then look no further than Camille. Camille has shot up in power over the past patch due to the Trinity Force buffs, and she's only being banned in 2% of games. The sky is the limit when it comes down to what you can achieve on Camille, as she can be one of the most oppressive top laners if given a small lead. Learning your matchups, being able to find solo kills with that ignite, and then completely zoning the enemy off waves due to the long range engage from E makes Camille very rewarding. E is such a long range gap close that if you can beat the enemy in the 1v1, they should have no business walking up in range of XP at all, and if your wave management is on point and you can set a freeze, Camille can snowball harder than any other top laner. Speaking of wave management, if you're looking to level up your knowledge on the topic, our Master in Minutes course on wave control is a great resource to help you out. In regards to Camille's core build, look to rush the recently buffed Trinity Force, go into Ravenous Hydra 2nd and Death's Dance or Sterix 3rd. Rune Page is Grasp with Shield Bash, Bone Plating, and Unflinching, followed by Free Boots and Biscuits for secondaries. If steamrolling the laning phase is something you'd like to be able to accomplish in most games, then Olaf is the one trick for you. Olaf is yet another top lane champion who benefited from the recent item changes, with Stridebreaker having its AD increased. Picking Olaf in every game won't be an issue, as his ban rate is just 4%. Trying to keep the wave on your side of the lane is very key when playing Olaf. You almost want to lure the enemy into a false sense of security by letting them push into you, and when they waste spells on the wave, you pop Ghost and run them down. Utilizing the power of Ghost to its fullest potential is super important on Olaf, and the longer lane you have to work with, the higher chance of scoring those 1v1 kills. What makes Olaf even more rewarding to one-trick is the fact that the champ thrives on these lower health thresholds. Power from Olaf passive and W are amplified when on low health, so learning your matchups and understanding how far you can take it is key to really mastering Olaf. Core build to run consists of Ravenous Hydra, Stridebreaker, and Death's Dance. The rune page is Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Best secondaries are Biscuits and Approach Velocity. Due to a recent hotfix buff and a newfound bruiser build, Kindred is back in a great spot and is amazing to one-trick. Ban rate for Kindred hovers under 5%, so you'll have no issues spamming the champ. Kindred initially landed on the weaker side of things due to the item alterations, but Riot may have jumped the gun a bit on those hotfix buffs, as there is a new build giving them a ton of power. Trinity Force Kindred is extremely strong and being played by many high elo and pro players in solo queue. The complete 3-item core is Trinity into Wit's End 2nd and Black Cleaver 3rd. The Trinity into Wit's core provides Kindred with incredible dueling power, as she can output lots of consistent DPS while being quite tanky at the same time. With the more popular crit builds, you're way more squishy and vulnerable, making any misstep very punishable, whereas this Trinity build is much more forgiving. Once this build catches on, we expect Kindred to shoot up in popularity, so look to abuse her while you can. Rune page when running Bruiser Kindred consists of Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Roll with Sudden Impact and Treasure Hunter for secondaries. Despite his current strength in meta, Jarvan is no longer a priority ban, which makes him a great one-trick choice. Just 2 patches back, Jarvan's ban rate was over 15%, which automatically cut him from this list. Fast forward to 13.11, and due to other junglers like Kha'Zix taking up a large share of bans, Jarvan's ban rate is now now only 5%. Even though Jarvan's ban rate has fallen, his win rate has actually increased, so he's one of the best champs to one-trick right now. Especially in this bot lane-centric meta, spamming a great ganking jungler like Jarvan really gives you a ton of options and helps you capitalize on those strong bot lane duos. The build to run on Jarvan consists of a Gore Drinker Rush into Black Cleaver second and Death's Dance third. Conqueror is the Keystone Rune with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Run Freeboots and Biscuits for secondaries. Another really great ganking jungler who fits into the meta perfectly, and our third jungle one-trick is Zac. Ban rate for Zac is just 3%, so he fits our criteria very nicely. Similar to Jarvan, with having the winning bot lane being so vital right now, spamming someone like Zac can reap huge rewards. Once you get 3 points into E, gank power becomes extremely strong, and you can set up from angles that most junglers can only dream of. The new build we just covered in our recent OP builds video for patch 13.11 is another reason why Zac is a great one-trick pick. Even Shroud is such an underrated yet strong pickup on Zac and gives him an incredibly fast mid-game spike. The complete core build to run is a Sunfire Rush into Even Shroud second and Abyssal Mask third. As for the rune page, it's Aftershock with Font of Life, Conditioning and Revitalize, followed by Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. Moving on to our mid lane top 3, first up is going to be Vex. With a ban rate of just 4% and being a great pick in the current meta, Vex is amazing to one-trick. Champs with a ton of mobility like Katarina, Yone, and LeBlanc get absolutely smashed by Vex, which makes her very rewarding to learn. Those melee mid lane champs with mobility are almost always the champs picked the most in solo queue, so Vex never really becomes an irrelevant pick. The 1v9 power Vex has is incredible due to the reset from her ultimate, so it's very worth it to put the time in and learn her limits. Standard build is a Luden's Rush into Shadowflame second and Zanya's or Rabadon's third. For runes, run Electrocute with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, and Ultimate Hunter. Mana Flow and Transcendence are for secondaries. When it comes down to one-tricking an assassin mid lane champ, there's really no better option than Qiyana. It's very rare that Qiyana's ban rate becomes excessively high, as it's sitting at 2% right now. Most other mid lane assassins tend to have much higher ban rates. For example, Katarina and Zed are both above 15%. Statistically speaking, there's no mid laner who has a higher win rate when played by a one-trick than Qiyana. The ability for this champion to one-shot a target and then become invisible gives her so much outplay potential if piloted well. If you want to learn the ins and outs of Qiyana, our Master in Minutes course just uploaded to our website is the perfect tool to help you out. Build you'll want to run consists of a Ghostblade or Duskblade Rush into Manamune second and Edge of Night third. For runes, grab Electrocute with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Treasure Hunter. Best secondaries are Presence of Mind and Last Stand. One mid lane champion who has been an incredibly good one-trick choice for multiple patches now is Cassiopeia. Ban rate hovers around 3%, so a very accessible champion. Cass is definitely a bit more mechanically demanding than your average mid laner, so spending a good amount of time on her is a must to reach her fullest potential. Everyone loves to play melee dive champions in solo queue, and if you can pilot Cassio well, her W and ultimate do an exceptional job at shutting down those champs. If you run Ghost for your secondary summoner spell, the kiting power in teamfights is incredible, and coupled with her abilities, makes it very difficult for melee champs to stick onto you. Core build for Cassio consists of a Rod of Ages Rush into Archangel second and Cosmic Drive third. Keystone Rune is Conqueror with Presence of Mind, Tenacity, and Last Stand. Run Mana Flow and Transcendence for secondaries. This ADC likely sees a spike in ban rate throughout 13.11, but at the time of making this video, Zeri is only banned in about 6% of games. The reason we expect her ban rate to rise during 13.11 is because many crit ADCs are being torn down by the Stormrazor nerfs, while Zeri rushes Trinity Force and is incredibly strong because of it. Get Zeri to 3 items paired up with an Enchanter support, and there's nobody other than Kog'Maw who has as much impact on games for this patch. It's not really even fair how mobile this champion can become while being super tanky at the same time and dealing a crazy amount of damage. With that being said, Zeri is a pretty unique ADC. She's not super easy to pilot by any means, which makes her a great one-trick choice since the more time you put in, the far greater results you'll see. 3-item core you'll want to run revolves around the Trinity Force Rush into Hurricane second and Titanic Hydra third. Rune Page consists of Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Optimal secondaries are Conditioning and Overgrowth. Lucian is back to being one of the top tier ADCs for solo queue, and he's our second one-trick selection for 13.11. Lucian's definitely not the easiest ADC to pick up and see success with right away, but his ceiling is quite high, so one-tricking him is very worth it. There are few ADCs who have the ability to take over games like Lucian due to his mobility and burst power. 2-item Spike is super deadly, and with Quick Blades buffed for 13.11, the core of Essence Reaver and Quick Blades will become even more lethal. You do have the option to go Stormrazor into Gale Force as well, but with both items nerfed this patch, we expect Essence and Quick Blades to rise up. Something a lot of high elo players like to do on Lucian is run Ignite as their secondary summoner. This is best when you're paired with an Enchanter support as they take heal. Requires a bit of communication and champion select to make this work, but if you're able to grab the Ignite on Lucian, it makes your burst power that much better. Rune Page really depends on preference, as Press the Attack and First Strike are both viable. PTA for more early game damage and First Strike for a quicker mid game spike. With aggro melee supports, PTA is generally best, but with enchanters, First Strike is is great. If you want to play that hyperscaling ADC for 13.11 who is consistently accessible, Twitch is the way. COG with over a 30% ban rate is just not feasible to one-trick right now, so Twitch is the next best in line. Ban rate for Twitch is just 5%. One-trick Twitch players are the ADCs you dread playing against the most because they'll always find those game-winning catch plays from stealth that no other ADC can pull off. Teamfight power is incredible with Twitch as well, but knowing your openings and choosing when to pop out of stealth is something that takes time to learn. For all the Twitch players that pop off in 1v5 fights, there are plenty who come out of stealth at the wrong time, weave one auto attack, and are dead meat before they can do anything else. There's definitely a lot of risk that comes with playing Twitch, but the reward is massive, so by one-tricking him, you will slowly but surely lower that risk level, turning him into one of the most lethal carries. Build for Twitch is a Blade of the Ruin King Rush into Rage Blade 2nd and Hurricane 3rd. For runes, grab Lethal Tempo with Presence of Mind, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Taste of Blood and Ultimate Hunter are for secondaries. Hook supports always tend to hold some of the highest ban rates for any champions, but one exception right now is Thresh. Thresh is not overpowered by any means, but he's not weak either, which actually makes him a really good candidate to one-trick. Choosing to one-trick a champ who has a super high win rate is a little more dicey because you run the risk of them getting nerfed pretty hard. With Thresh, you don't gotta worry about that right now, and with a ban rate of 8%, he's a great one-trick pick. Skill ceiling of Thresh is incredibly high, so the more games you put in, the more impactful you're going to become. Seeing a mastered Thresh in action is a work of art, and the carry power of the champ is insanely high once mastered. The build for Thresh consists of a Shurelya's Rush into Zeke 2nd and Knight's Vow 3rd. Pick up Glacial Augment for the Keystone with Hex Flash, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight, followed by Bone Plating and Unflinching for secondaries. When it comes down to a damage-oriented carry support, there's really nobody better to one-trick than Xerath. Ban rate hovers under 5%, so a really solid one-trick option. Being a champion who's 100% reliant on hitting skill shots to be effective, choosing to one-trick Xerath is well worth the time. If you're tired of playing with those ADCs who do no damage, constantly miss position, and have very low impact on games, Xerath is a champ who can play around that. You're pretty much out of luck when playing an enchanter with those kind of ADCs, but with Xerath's long-range artillery, your ADC dying and being the bait can often translate into good things. If the enemy team wastes all their cooldowns on your teammate, you have free reign to chunk them down and then finish off kills with R. The optimal build for Xerath is Eluden's Rush into Shadowflame 2nd and Rabadon's 3rd. Take first strike for the Keystone with Free Boots, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Best secondaries are Mana Flow and Scorch. With many supports being hit by the Echoes of Helia and Ardent nerfs in 13.11, one support that becomes even better to one-trick is Rakan. Rakan doesn't build either of those items and currently has a ban rate of just 3%. If being the aggressor is your forte and you want to be the one starting fights, Rakan is a no-brainer to one-trick. There are few supports who have as much consistently reliable hard engage as Rakan. Engage combo really isn't that difficult to get down either. It's more your macro knowledge that will really take your Rakan to another level. Finding those opportunities to force uneven fights is where Rakan can thrive the most. Being map aware and capitalizing when you have the numbers advantage is what Rakan is all about and makes him very rewarding to one-trick. The build to run on Rakan is a Shurelya's Rush into Zeke 2nd and Redemption 3rd. Take Guardian for the Keystone rune with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching. Zombie Ward and Ultimate Hunter are the best secondaries. So that wraps everything up for this one, but if you want to improve fast and get the rank you've always wanted, then go to SkillCapped.com. With premium courses for every role and skill taught by the best players, SkillCapped is the perfect platform to help take your game to the next level. Take our Wave Control course. While you wait for your next game to start, you can learn freezing, fast pushing, slow pushing, bouncing waves, the list goes on, all in just a few minutes to maximize your improvement rate. Or maybe you just like seeing your opponent's health go to 0. Then you'll love our trading course. We even have a skill test at the end, so you can see how good you really are. Players just like you are leaving 5-star reviews and raving at how helpful they are. That's not all we offer though, as every week we release 10 brand new Smurf commentaries where a challenger player teaches you how to climb out of the exact rank you're stuck in. If you're looking for something more personal instead, then we got you covered with one-on-one coaching from our trained challenger experts. All this seemed too good to be true? Well, don't worry, we're backed by a rank up guarantee. If you don't significantly improve while actively using SkillCapped, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below and get the rank you've always wanted. That's gonna be it for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.